Greetings Shankara TV viewers. Today we are starting a new series, Do You Really Die? That is, it is a very exotic and esoteric subject because death, marana as they call, is a very curious and a morbid subject. Death is a subject not only discussed in the Vedic times but also in the present times, and I am sure it will be discussed in future also as science and technology advances. Interestingly, I was very much interested in this subject right from my childhood days, wherein when I started learning Sanskritam and the Vedic chantings. Thereafter, I delved deep, did a lot of research, right from the Vedic books to modern medical reports. And recently, last year, I had published a book about this called Do You Really Die? And the foreword for which has been given by University of Madras Vice Chancellor Professor Tandavan and also by Dr. Krishnamurthy Srinivas, a world famous neurologist from VHS Hospital, Chennai. This subject, that is death, is going to be the main discussing theme in all walks of life. And how I am going to deal this subject is primarily based on my book, Do You Really Die? But each chapter, because it being a TV series, I will try to explain for the benefit of viewers so that they may be able to understand this subject minutely. In my book, I have started out with the introduction, which discusses what is death. Then I explain about death, how when the pulse stops, the doctor declares the person as dead, and then sometimes the person is resuscitated. And then another chapter, I explain the death. What is death? Based on all reports, especially relying more on the Vedic reports plus also on the medical reports. And then I go to my next chapter, which is called as near-death experiences and out-of-body experiences. Near-death experiences and is actually means what happens to certain persons when they actually die for a minute or a two or a three. And these are based on statistical evidences, medical reports of various medical colleges like Harvard or Virginia, US medical colleges, university reports, and also UK. And also we have what is known as out of body experiences called as OBE, that again is very exotic. Then later I shift my ideas to the physics about the electrons, about the atoms and their movements and how they affect the consciousness. And then from physics I go into the other subject called consciousness, which I relate with physics, modern physics, atoms, protons, neutrons and electrons inside an atom versus the consciousness, and how a particle behaves like a particle and how it behaves like a wave, and what happens in these two circumstances. From there I move on to what is known as the yogic perspective, how in our yogic traditions, the yogic rishis, how they deal this topic death, and what are all the mechanisms and tools available to know this death subject more minutely. And then I go into the Vedas. It is here one has to understand the immense treasure available not only in these four Vedas but also in all these Upanishads and in Brahma Sutras, and also beautifully narrated by Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. From there, I shift to the reincarnation, another wonderful area dealt beautifully, scientifically, statistically, empirically by Dr. Ian Stevenson, one of the world's famous specialists who had done more than 3,000 experiments, on the field experiments, and came out with a very bright, very powerful and very irreversible conclusion. And what is that? We shall see as we proceed. And from reincarnation, I go to other subjects, other areas like Tibetan Book of the Dead, the Mayan Book of the Dead, the Sumerian Book of the Dead, the Garuda Puranas. Finally, I will also come to a conclusion.